Telling everybody the good news of Corey LaJoie, and I appreciate that.
She usually gets you there by preaching from across the top.
What's going on, y'all? This is Josh from Team SUPERSHOE, and welcome back to another episode of the Shoe Show. We are not talking about flip-flops like, well, you didn't want to wear in Chicago. No, we're talking about the one and only Corey LaJoie, the SUPERSHOE of NASCAR, and just anything NASCAR related. Super pumped to have you guys here today. We are chatting with, well, I initially thought he was just another fan, just like one of you guys from Team SUPERSHOE. I found him on the Facebook group, and he said he was going to Chicago. I wanted to get his perspective and see what it was like as a fan to go out there, to watch it from the stands, to, the whole 9 yards, to be a tourist out in Chicago and enjoy it, as well as have the whole racing experience, the festivities, all that. Turns out that my buddy that's on today, Jeff Owen, he is a little more than a fan. And it was quite a surprise to see just how in-depth he is out there in NASCAR, and just has some pretty cool stories. So you guys are really going to want to hang out and listen to this or watch it on YouTube. And speaking of, if you guys are watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment. Please share it on any other social medias. The more you do stuff like this, the more that it is going to be reaching through the algorithms to bring more and more Corey LaJoie fans in, so we can all enjoy people like Jeff together. If you are listening in the audio realm, please rate and review. Let everybody know you're listening. And if you haven't come over to the Facebook group, that's where this is all started. Team SUPERSHOE, it's a group on Facebook, and we have so much more conversation there than we do here on YouTube or on the audio realm. Otherwise, guys, I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me once again. And without further ado, let's hang out with our buddy, Jeff Owen. All right, y'all, we are back. And, F1 has had these since the inception in 1950. IndyCar was built in the late 90s, and it took them 9 years to get these going. And today, after 75 years of NASCAR, we are now in the same realm, racing in street courses. A fan who got to experience this historic race, we brought on Jeff Owen. Jeff, how are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me, Josh.
Yeah, thank you for coming, man. I met you through Team SUPERSHOE. I kind of just put out a feeler post saying who all was going to the Chicago race, and you had said that you were going, and so we kind of connected, and I said it would be kind of cool to get your perspective of what you thought of the race, how it was ran, the environment, the whole thing. And I wanted to get to know who you are and where you're from.
Okay, well, I was there as a fan, but I was also there working it, Josh. I have a marketing business. It's been around for about 15 years, and Blue Green Vacations is one of my clients, one of the best client I have, and they're great. And they have a partnership with Corey, which is one of the reasons we were there. Well, the only reason I was there was to make sure that they had a good time. And it was amazing, man. I've never experienced a street course. I guess I've been to a few road courses, but this was a street course, and it was just incredible what they did to pull this thing together, and to upset a city like Chicago and just build a racetrack right in the middle of it. It was incredible.
That's cool. And I imagine this wasn't your first go at a race.
No, I've been involved in NASCAR for about 25 years now.
Oh, okay.
So I've been to every racetrack that the Cup runs right now, except for Nashville. I haven't been to Nashville yet. And of course, this was my first time, as it was for everybody, going to the streets of Chicago. And it was kind of wild because those guys had never, other than walking around it, had never been on it either until Saturday afternoon when they went out to do some practice runs and qualify.
That's cool. That's pretty fascinating that you've gotten to go to all the different racetracks That's like a bucket list of mine is to maybe get like a pin board or something with the map, with the US map on it, and start collecting pins from every race that I go to, and fill that all up. So that's a pretty cool accomplishment. Do you have a favorite racetrack that you've been to?
Yeah. Everybody always asks me that. That's the first thing that anybody asks me. Where should I go? What's my favorite track? And I got to say, without hesitation, is Bristol. Excuse me, Bristol. Because I'm not a huge fan of the dirt, because those cars really aren't designed to run on the dirt. But the night race is just incredible.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, so kind of wanted you to just go through your weekend and tell us all fans what it was like to be out there on vacation, see all the sights, as well as deal with all the racing as well.
Okay, I got to go back to that question you just asked though for just a second. One of our guests asked me that question this weekend, and I told him real quick it was the Bristol night race was the one I wanted to go to, and then Corey came and spent some time with us on Saturday night, and he walks up to him and he says, "What's your favorite race?" And he said, "Bristol night race." so the guys, I think he's got his package in and ready to go for the Bristol night race. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, no, it was an incredible weekend. Other than the when Noah showed up on Sunday and was collecting the animals 2 by 2. I mean, I don't think it's rained that hard. Well, I know it hadn't rained that hard in Chicago in a long time. They a couple of the locals told me that they got more rain between 12 midnight to 6 a.m. than they usually get in the whole month of July. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what Saturday was. It was everybody's like, "Are we going to run this race? We're going to run this race." I'm like, "Dude, they've got rain tires, so I'm thinking they will." So, and they did, and it was an incredible experience. But we rolled in on Thursday, the blue green team, and I got to give a shout out to them. Great bunch of people. Nancy Sampson, who runs that team, is a great leader. An events person, and just now that we've been together for about 4 years and she's learned NASCAR, she's just an incredible person to take the helm and to guide our team through everything. But we rolled in. I rolled into O'Hare. That's my first lesson, Josh. Is go to Midway, not O'Hare, because it's a whole lot closer to downtown. So, but I mean, I rolled in, and one of the pictures I sent you was that famous hallway where the guy from Home Alone got lost at, with all the flags and banners and stuff. But that's that first picture I sent you. So we got in on Thursday, and NASCAR had some events lined up for us. Thursday night, they had a reception, and then they took us to the Cubs game, which was kind of cool. We were sitting in the third row, right on the first base line, right out in the outfield, and great vantage point to watch a game from. Got to see Nemechek and Steinhaus and Burton sing the "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." That was fun. Yeah, they did a pretty good job. They said they didn't have much practice, but I think they did a pretty good job. But and then that was Thursday, and they had some cars out in front of the Wrigley, and it was kind of themed NASCAR, and it was really cool. It was fun. A great event, and it was not raining, and that was the best thing. And so when we went up, they had, like I said, NASCAR had a reception, and I ran into a really good friend of mine, Jordan Bressler, who is from the Chicago area. He runs a marketing agency up there, and he said, "What are you guys doing tomorrow?" I had my group intact with me. He said, "What are you guys doing tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, there's a couple things planned." He said, "Well, we're blowing it off, and we're going on the river, and we're doing the architectural boat tour." He said, "You and your guys are invited if you'd like to come, and then we're going to have a little reception after that." So we did. We took him up on that offer, and we went out on the architectural boat tour. And if you haven't ever done that, Josh, you got to do it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, we had a pretty cool host. He was funny. He had to, he made it light and kind of comical. But they give you like the history of Chicago and all the buildings and stuff, and they call it the second city because it burned down one time and they rebuilt it, and they called it the Windy City. And I thought it was because of the wind, and they call it the Windy City because of all the politicians and the wind that they blow and all that kind of stuff. But no, just an incredible. We spent about an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours out on the river. They took us down, and if you've never done that, that's something you got to do. It was really cool. The history of the city is really cool, and the architecture of that place is, there's some buildings that I don't know how they're standing, because they got this little bitty base, and then they go out and they're huge. But and then there's the one famous from a couple of movies where the guy drives the car off of the parking garage into the river, and you started there. So that was really cool. And then we got an opportunity to after that go and meet with some of his clients, and just talk NASCAR and talk business and talk the reason some of them are in the sport, and some things that we maybe down the road can do together, which is something that we're really interested in, is working with the other partners. We've done some stuff with Nagu, and we actually, and you'll see from a couple of those shots I sent you as well, we had a partnership with Celsius this weekend, and they put us on the B post. It was little. I don't know. You probably didn't see it on TV, but we were there, by golly, and I got a picture of it. So that was kind of cool. And then, well, Friday before we went out onto the boat, a couple of us, Patty Milana, who's on our team, and I went out and we walked the property. And walk the property and walk the property. I mean, we had, I think I looked at my little meter there, and we were right at 7 miles for that day. And it was really sprawled out. I mean, it went for like 2 city blocks for sure, and with that big fountain in the middle of it. And so we went, we had some seats. We had some guests that were on the turn 10, I believe it was, which was the last turn that came out to that straight. Then it went down to the stretch there that went past start finish. And then we had some people on the very opposite side in between turn 2 and 3. And that's some of the videos I sent you. That was the cars coming out of that and going through that area. And that was all uncovered and exposed to the elements, I promise you. But so we walked the property just to make sure we knew where everything was. There was a huge concert venue that was set up back there near where those seats were. It was going to be a great event. And the Black Crows did play early in the afternoon on Saturday. And then they had the Chain Smokers that were supposed to play on Saturday night. And of course, with the lightning and the storms and stuff like that, they had to cancel that. And unfortunately, they had to cancel that. And the Miranda Lambert, who was going to play on Sunday, they had to cancel her because the park that they had it in had become like a lake. I mean, it was incredible, the amount of water that was standing everywhere. But, Saturday I went out for a little while, watched them qualify, watched them practice. The only, it was kind of tough to see because I was in the pits. And they had the wall that was kind of between the pit road and the track, and all you really got to see was like the top of the cars go by and things like that. So, but I meandered up to the end of pit road where there was an opening, and they're coming out of that last turn at 11, I think it was, and heading down to that long stretch, and got some pretty good photos and videos from there. And then got some really good ones from over there in that between 2 and 3 as they were coming down through there. They were flying, and then they came to kind of a stop, and then zipped around, and then they were flying again, and then they had to stop again and then turn again. So it was an interesting spot, but and a lot of passing went on there in turn 3 right past as we went. But so Saturday was going to the practices and the qualifying, like I said, and then made my way back over. I decided that I was going to watch the Xfinity race on TV because I wanted to see, how it looked as a whole, right, from the whole course. And so I watched a little bit of that one until it, went on to a lightning delay. And what I found out was the reason that it probably got canceled was, we have a 30-minute policy, right? A 30-minute lightning policy in NASCAR. Well, the city has a 90-minute policy, which is why we're under such a delay for so long. And then, of course, at the end of it, it lightened again, and then it was over with, and they called it for the day. But
it's Windy City for you, I guess.
Yeah, well, it was the rainy city this weekend. Trust me, but and then on Saturday, or usually, yeah, normally it's on Saturday night, but the night before the race, Blue Green Vacations puts on this thing we call our Blue Green Bash, and it's we bring all of our owners or prospects or whoever's there that we're entertaining for the race weekend. We bring them all in and we feed them, and we have an open bar with sodas and beer and wine for 2 hours, for a couple of hours. And one of the things that we like to do, and Nancy, going back to Nancy, and this was her idea, and it's great, is that we have a personal services agreement with Corey, right? So he does something for us at pretty much every race that we're at, whether it's a suite appearance or coming by the chalet at Darlington, and then he for this weekend he actually was staying at the Hotel Blake, which is a Blue Green property there in town, and so we had our bash up on the second floor, which was open air. It had glass ceiling and lighting and stuff like that, and a restaurant called Roots Pizza, which was kind of a local favorite there, and an amazing venue, just really cool. The owners loved it, and about midway through that, Corey had a responsibility to go down to that concert. For all the NASCAR drivers had to go down to the concert, but when they canceled it, he was freed up, so he came and he spent an hour with us at Roots Pizza, going around to every table, talking to all the owners, just interacting, and they absolutely loved it. If they weren't Corey LaJoie fans, they damn sure were after that, because and I know you've run into him and talked to him a lot, Josh, but Corey's just an amazing guy. I mean, he's down to earth. He loves talking to people. He'll talk racing with you all day long, but I mean, he's just a great guy, and he interacts with our guests all the time, and does an amazing job at it. And he enjoys it too. I mean, because he gets to come and talk to people in a little bit more relaxed environment stuff. So we did that on Saturday night till about 9, and then it was go and take a nap and get ready to go racing on Sunday, right? And then so I woke up and I looked out the window, and it was bad. It was really bad, dude. I'm telling you, it was raining so hard. It was puddles were down there, but they were going to try to run the Xfinity race at 11, I think it was 11 Eastern, 10 up there, but so I was going to go back over and try to catch the end of the Xfinity race, and then I had to meet the group, and I do a pit and garage tour for everybody. So, we're going to try to do it, come hell or high water, I guess, if you will. And then high water was coming. I promise you that. So I got out and I walked. I grabbed a quick bite of breakfast, went over and walked. It was like 4 blocks down and 4 blocks down toward the lake, and I tried to find as much cover as I could, because it was just, I mean, cats and dogs, dude. It was coming down. But by the time I got down to where I could see the track, and I found a like an awning for a hotel, I stood there and kind of squeezed out my socks a little bit, just tried to do the best I could. It was miserable, but kept going, walked over to the track, and I stayed down there for about another hour or so till they called the Xfinity race, and then I found a nice tent that I was able to get under for a little while. And then the guests started showing up. I mean, let me tell you, some diehard race fans that wanted to make sure they got this experience the first time.
Yeah.
And so they started showing up, and we pushed our tour just a little bit. It was supposed to start at 12:30, and it ended up going at 1:30, just hopefully to let the rain kind of die down a little bit. And so they all came, and we got them in. We got them all walk through passes so they could go in the garage and down to the pits. And so I gave them as good a tour as I could give them, and tried to keep them out of the elements as much as possible. And then God opened, he shone his light down on us, and I took them over to the pits, and it stopped raining for about 30 minutes, and we got to go down and experience that. And there's that one picture I sent over to you as well. That's got a picture of those guys all in their rain, ponchos and everything like that. And they were all trips. Let me tell you, they had a great time and they loved it. And then we all ran for shelter again because the bottom dropped out one more time. And then as we got a little closer to race time, they went through the normal routine that they do with the national anthem and introducing the drivers and all that stuff. And they did it as best they could, because again, it was still downpouring, Josh. I mean, it was raining so bad. But it finally started to break, and the skies, I won't say they cleared, but they had stopped raining for a while anyway. And they got the jet dryers out, and the problem was that because they had built this track and they brought in all of these cement girders and made the circumference of the track, and they put them right next to each other, there was no way to get the water out. I mean, they had to, there were guys down there with drills drilling through the concrete trying to get just some of the water out.
Right.
I saw, I don't know if you've scanned through Facebook, and Bill Jantz, who's Martin Truex guy, put out some pretty interesting photos. The guy was down there with his measuring stick about halfway up a tire, and he was in water that much. It was just standing everywhere.
Yeah.
But then they came in, and they got the jet dryers going, and that was funny too, because how they kind of offset them, and then they go up and they push the water out, and it usually goes out to the grass or somewhere off track. Well, they were pushing a lot of water out for sure, and it was going to that last guy. And as he went down through the course, the water was like a wave. It was like this wave that was just going down the wall with him, until it finally found a spot there in turn 3 where there was a bridge that went down, and then the course went back that way. but all this water just goes gushing out down through there, man. I don't know. Those guys are probably still underwater, but anyway, it was they did an amazing job of getting the course pretty well dried off, and everybody's just kind of waiting. It was funny because in those grandstands we were in, there were probably like 5 people in the whole grandstand, right? And they were all my guys. And I said, well, you're not gonna have to worry about your seat. You can pretty well sit anywhere you want, right? And then when they said, drivers to your cars, it's like somebody busted an anthill, and all these ants just went everywhere. These people came out of every orifice around the track and went up into the stands, and they filled that thing up quick. And they did like two or three parade laps, and then they let them go. And then, dude, it was awesome. It was awesome. I don't know if you're a Kyle Busch fan, but when he went into those tires, you could probably tell. I mean, the water just went. Just like
I saw that.
But it was, it was interesting. They stayed on the reins for, a few good laps, and then when it started to dry out, you could start to see the change of the color of the pavement and stuff like that. They went over to the slicks, and then it got really interesting. That one, and the one big wreck, and they were talking about, Corey getting into Harvick, but I don't think he did. I think what happened was that Harvick lifted as he was going in there, and because he saw, I think it was Byron it was one of the Hendricks guys was turned sideways, and so Harvick lifted out, and then when he did, Corey's coming around a blind curve, and he kind of tapped him, and then it was all all over the place. But luckily he was in the front of that melee and not in the middle of it, and he got bumped, but he didn't have any damage, so it was cool. He was able to continue on to a 14th place finish, which was great. I mean, and he had a little bit of a miscue up front with the communication with the first pit stop, and they weren't quite ready for him to come in, but he came in, and that kind of put him back a little bit. But at the first of the race, man, he was making positions. He was coming down like right in front of us, and he was going by folks like crazy. And I talked to him about it Saturday night, and he said, man, this is going to be so much fun. And he was grinning ear to ear when he was done too. So, I mean, just an amazing experience. And, I got to give kudos to the city of Chicago and to NASCAR and to all the people that, planned this thing. I mean, again, like we were talking about earlier, Josh, to go in there and to transform the downtown traffic flow and all that stuff, and to build that track around, it was just incredible. And if it hadn't rained, I don't know if they would have been able to hold the people, because they were coming on Saturday. It was just wall to wall people. And on Sunday, the one thing is kind of weird, but they didn't have a lot of restrooms. Okay, but back near the concert venue, they had like banks of porta johns, right? And after drinking water all day and coffee all morning, a man's got to go, right? So I walked back there to go to the restroom, and so when they came out of 3, they went down that long straight down Lakeshore, I guess it is, and I went by. I'm telling you, dude, that was 2 and 3 deep. That whole fence line was 2 and 3 deep down through there. It was insane amount of people that were just standing out there in a mud hole watching the race. But again, everybody involved in this thing. It was incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was fun on my end. We're just watching it on TV. I really enjoyed it. I'm a rarity in NASCAR realm that I actually like road courses, and so I was excited to see the street course because being here close to St. Pete, I see the IndyCar the Grand Prix St. Pete every year, and go to it, and it's always so cool to see the cars in the midst of the big buildings and landmarks on the water, all that stuff. So I was really impressed by Corey as well. His earlier career before he got to Cup, he didn't have any road course experience, so he's learning every road course or every street course that he goes to, but he's been more and more impressive. So I was really happy to see him get a 14th place finish. And so yeah, man, that was I enjoyed it a lot. I know there's a lot of mixed reactions, but today's day and age, everybody will get upset no matter what it is, so can't please everybody. But wanted to know, what did you feel like was it a good race as far as a fan sitting in the stands? Did you have like big screens that kept you up to date with what was going on, or what was it like just sitting in the stands and enjoying it?
Yeah, I'm similar to you. I like road course racing. I've been to Watkins Glen several times, and it's the same kind of situation. The only one that you can really see everything at is if you go out to Sonoma and you get up on one of the top hills out there in the chalet, and you can see pretty much the whole track. But that's if there is anything that's, I don't want to call it a negative, but it's a challenge in a road course or street race like that. It's just, you're going to get to see your spot, and that's right, pretty much live anyway. But no, you're right. There was a monitor that was right in front of us, so we could kind of watch the remainder of the race. They kept it. NBC did a really good job of kind of mixing it up. They didn't just stay with the leader as he went through. If there were like if there was some tight racing in the middle of the pack, they would go to that, and it was kind of cool to watch that. But yeah, I mean, as far as like live and seeing it, it was very restricted. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're out on the pit road, you really couldn't see much going on there either, because of that wall that was out there that divided the pit road from the main race course. But I mean, I think the only guys that had the best vantage point were those guys that were up in that building across the street, way up high. They kept flashing to them, and I think they could see pretty much the whole course. Yeah. But yeah, that's the challenge of any road race or street race or anything like that, is you're only going to get to live see a little piece of it. Yeah. Kind of the same boat as the crew chief when on some of those ovals, you get to see that little bit in front of you, and then you got to kind of depend on the monitors to see if you get into a wreck or something on the backside of the track.
And now with you being, being able to go to all these different tracks, did you feel as though the crowd situation of coming into the race with traffic and leaving and all that, and did you feel it was pretty much the same deal as going to Daytona or any other track?
It was different, a lot different, because normally, like Daytona, like you say, you go out and you walk right out to your car, and then you get into that traffic jam that's out there, and then until you get to the interstate or something like that. Or I don't know if you've ever been to Texas, but they send you the wrong way for about 3 miles, and then they flip you around, and then you go back, and it's just a traffic jam.
Hmm.
There weren't, and I don't know if you saw that one piece that Corey put out where he's on the bicycle, the lit up bicycle, and he's giving his little recap. That I saw him going by, and that's kind of it. I mean, there weren't many. Well, there were no vehicles down there near the racetrack. I mean, the roads obviously were blocked off, and then the roads going into the racetrack were blocked off. So there was no traffic at all. I mean, until you got about 4 or 5 blocks off of the main course. But it was like this mass of humanity that was just making its way that way toward the city or to their vehicles or wherever the heck they had to park. But yeah, it was different in that respect. I mean, it wasn't like straight to get to Martinsville and you're in your car for 6 hours just trying to get off property. But it was like people flowed out. I mean, I had some of our guests that walked back with me to the resort there, and we walked right out the gate, right down the road, and right to the hotel, and made it back in probably 20 minutes.
Nice.
So I mean, different in that respect, because there was no way you could park near the track.
Right. And I have never been to Chicago. That definitely is somewhere I hope to go to. I hope, if they continue this on, I can go check it out in the next year or two, but at the street course. But the stereotype that Chicago has, a lot of people, as soon as NASCAR brought up going to Chicago or for a street course, everybody's thinking all the NASCAR drivers are going to get shot. What did you feel like, safety wise, like how, as a tourist, what did you, not even the race, just being out, going on the river, all that stuff. Did everything feel good, or was it kind of sketchy?
No, I never felt threatened at all, buddy.
Yeah.
Probably the worst threat I had was my Uber driver. He was kind of crazy. I thought he was going to run us into the river or into the lake there. But no, I mean, like I said, we went all over the city. Lauren Wagen, she was on our team. It was her birthday, so we went downtown to take her out to dinner. I think I did send you one picture of the lady. She was eating fire out in front of the restaurant. Yeah. That was crazy, but non-threatening for sure. I mean, down at Wrigley and Cubbyville and that area down there, we walked around there quite a bit, and I never felt threatened. And like Hotel Blake, like I said, it's about 4 blocks this way and then 4 blocks that way to get to the racetrack. And there was some places that there was a couple of homeless people that were on the street, just like any big city that you might have been to. But
right.
As far as threatened, I didn't feel threatened at all. And downtown, it was unique. Walking down on the sidewalks and like on Michigan Boulevard, which was like the far end of the course, and just to see all the the NASCAR teams and stuff like that, because Credentials was located over in that area, and a lot of people were going in there to pick up credentials or different things like that. Some of the Xfinity team guys that picked up credentials, but there were a lot of like folks looked like with these kind of shirts on walking all through town. And I don't think there were any incidences, and one thing you did see, particularly around the course itself, there were a lot of bicycle police, inside the course, there was a huge area between the one side and the other, and that was where most of the souvenir stuff was and food and stuff like that. And there was a police presence there. There was a police presence on pit road. But no, I never. I heard the same thing. And I read the news and about all the murders that are going on in Chicago. But we must have been in the right place, because I never felt really threatened at all.
Well, that's awesome. That's good news. So my last question for you is this race, do you want to see it continue or do you want to see it travel?
What was the last part? See it continue or what?
Or travel, whether or not you'd want to see a street course move to different cities.
That's a great question, Josh, and I wish I had the answer for you. I liked where it was. I really liked it because of the Blue Green Vacations Resort right there, and I could stay and walk to it. Don't have to walk or drive or any of that stuff. I'd heard a lot of people talking about that same thing. Would they do something like that in New York? Would they do something like that in LA? Would they do something like that? Kind of like Indy's done and go to some of the different areas, or like F1, like you mentioned in Monaco.
Right.
I don't, I will tell you this, and I know this for a fact because like my buddy Jordan I was telling you about earlier, he's been in the planning on this deal for 12 years. I mean, because he's a Chicago native and big NASCAR advocate and things like that. And so there was a lot of planning that went into it over the years, and then probably about a year and a half or so out, the real nitty gritty started to come together. And the thing that they had to do, Josh, that probably people don't understand is that road coming into Soldier Field, it comes off of the main interstate, and then it goes through like the Miracle Mile or whatever that is down there, all the shopping and all that. They had to reroute that whole thing. Because there was no, like I said, there was little or no traffic down near the racetrack for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So they had to reroute a whole city, and that's logistically, I can't even imagine what the stuff that they went through to get that done. And then I was talking to Mike Verlotti, who's a good friend of mine from NASCAR, who was very instrumental in putting this together. And he said it was going to take them, I think he said, two weeks or to almost 3 weeks to take it down, put it back to the original configuration. As you think about, like I mentioned earlier, all those concrete girders that are the walls that they put together, each one of those is having to be taken out and probably staged somewhere and then put on an 18-wheeler or something and taken out to wherever they're going to hold it. So, I mean, logistically on the front end and logistically on the back end, not to mention, the race period, it had to be just a train wreck, man. I'm telling you, it was like just so much, it's so many people involved. And that's why, I give kudos to everybody in the town or in the city and in NASCAR that had anything to do with it. But I'd love to see it back there again. I'd absolutely love to see it back there again. And you know what? If they move it to another city, I hope that they get the same kind of cooperation that they've got from the local government there in Chicago to be able to put it together in such an amazing way. I mean, the drivers, this is this is not an F1 car or an Indy car. To haul that thing around those curves like that, it didn't surprise me at all to see some of the really good drivers whack that thing into a wall.
Right.
But the excitement of it and just the I guess the prelude to it, that the build up to it, it was incredible. So I hope to goodness they do it again. And if it's in Chicago, I'll be there. And if it's in some other city, I'll find a way to be there.
Nice. Well, cool, man. Well, Jeff, it was cool to bring you on. I wanted to get your perspective. A lot of us on Team SUPERSHOE on the Facebook group, we didn't get to go experience Chicago. So wanted to hear what it was like, and hopefully people a little more motivated to go next year. I know I am. It's just, whether or not I can rack up the funds to get there. But well,
if you come, buddy, you let me know, and I'll make sure I give you a pit and garage tour through that place.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Well, Jeff, man, thank you so much for coming on, man, and God bless and stay safe.
Thank you, buddy. Can I do one thing before we go off?
Yes, sir.
I just want to say thank you to my Blue Green team, the guys that do so much, week in and week out. We started this thing about 3 years ago doing 8 races, and we went to 13. This year we're doing 20. Next year they're going to increase it again. And I mentioned Nancy Sampson, our leader. She's amazing. Lauren Wagen, again, it was her birthday, and she spent that with us out there in the rain at the track. Patty Milano, Troy Nakamoto, Leslie Jewell, Jessica Smith, Sal Barcia, and Amanda Garcia. Just a great group of people. They put so much time and effort into everything that we do out there. Most people see my face because I'm the face of it when we're out there, but those guys are they're the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain that make this thing go off, and they do an amazing job. And I just want to make sure that they get credit and that they know that I'm thinking about them while I'm talking to you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I hope they all watch this, and they'll appreciate it. So, but Jeff, I appreciate you, man, and it was just really good to talk to you.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate the opportunity and love the show. You do a great job. We really appreciate it. Leanne told me I could talk to you, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So when I messaged you, I had no idea. I thought you were just a fan. So normally I talk to Leanne and I'm like, hey, can you get me with this guy and we'll talk. And so, yeah, this is an unusual surprise.
Well, I tell you what, buddy, there's no bigger fan than me. I mean, if I'm not at the track, I'm watching it on TV, and I love it, and I'm blessed beyond belief to have a job like this, and it's just I just thank the Lord every day for it, because I could be in an office or doing something like that, but I'm out at the racetrack showing people a good time.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's awesome. God is good for sure. So,
amen.
All right, Jeff. Well, God bless you, man, and just thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate the opportunity.
See ya.
Bye now.
Jeff, once again, thank you so much for hanging out with me on the Shoe Show and spending time with all the Team SUPERSHOE family. I'm very jealous of that. Such a cool stories that you have from Chicago, and hopefully I can make it up there one day. It has to be a blast. So I'll hopefully we can leave the rain away though, because might be fun, but you're also getting soaked. So otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much. Again, like I said in the intro, if you guys haven't followed us on Facebook, that's where it all started. Team SUPERSHOE on Facebook. And if you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Please share it on other social media platforms. We're trying to get this algorithm to recognize that there's even more Corey LaJoie fans out there than I have currently. And if you are listening to Audio Realm, please rate and review. And thank you guys for listening. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you so much. I'm super excited for this weekend. It's Atlanta weekend, and you know how good Corey LaJoie does at Atlanta. And we are going to be even broadcasting live from the racetrack, me and my buddy Mike Bostic. So y'all better tune in Sunday. I'm not sure exactly what time yet. We're still ironing all that out, but keep your calendar open so you can hang out with us on Facebook. And again, come hang out with us, Team SUPERSHOE on Facebook. Otherwise, y'all, thank you so much. God bless, stay safe, and I'll see you Sunday.